Man, what's going on, everybody? Man, what's going on, everybody? Man, what a fight. What a fight. What a fight. What a fight card. What a fight overall, man. We got much to discuss real quick. I want to get everybody's thoughts on what we saw for the past 4 hours, and we're going to go round for round. I'm going to invite everybody open to the chat. So you too can also share your thoughts and let me know what you all think. Oh man, first and foremost, much love to every single person, man. I appreciate each of you for taking the time to always tune in, for rocking with the show. Uh 1 second, y'all. 1 second, 1 second. Where you guys want to start, man? Where you guys want to start? Well, I want to start here, man. I feel a little sad for my man Deontay Bronze Bomber Wilder, man. Didn't want my guy to go out like that, man. I didn't want him to go out like that. I did not want him to go out like that. That shot looked rough, terrible. Uh, 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 man. All right, let me make sure we got everything sorted here. Got everything sorted. Okay. What's going on, everybody? Man, where y'all want to start? Where y'all want to start? Let me make sure my comments are working so I can see everybody in here. Okay. All right. Man, I was really surprised by a couple of performances here, man. And it's like 3 almost 4 o'clock down there in Saudi Arabia, man. They be holding holding on long. I'm surprised Zhang at 41 years old, that man can stay up that late. I'm surprised he can stay up that late. Ben, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. It is usually, I was gonna save this till Monday, man, but I'm like, yo, why save it for Monday when we can talk about it right now while it's fresh on everybody's thoughts, everybody's mind. Again, I'm going to be opening up the chat pretty soon here for anybody that wants to come on, share their thoughts, give their perspective on the fight. Real quick, man, for those that have asked real quick, just want to address it. We're getting a lot of different questions about the partnership, man. First and foremost, I appreciate everybody that has asked me about the partnership, man. I'm not really the biggest betting man. Matter of fact, I don't really bet like that. But, I'm always looking for opportunities to help the community, to create opportunities so you guys can, get the best offers when you're making your picks and making your selections. So that's kind of why I decided to partner with BetStamp. They're pretty new. They're growing pretty quickly. And, they came with an opportunity that made sense. And so I'm hoping it can be just a little bit of a great partnership, not just for me and them, but for you guys as well, too. So more to come on that. But, man, let's get into it, man. Where you guys want to start? Let's just talk Wilder Zhang, then we'll move our way down, man. I think this is the last time we're going to see Bronze Bomber. It's the last time we're going to see Bronze Bomber, man. And if you have been, rocking with the channel from the beginning, I like Deontay Wilder. A lot of people might not like the Bronze Bomber, but I like the Bronze Bomber. I like what he stands for, what he's fighting for. But, man, honestly, I went with Zhang to win this fight. All I wanted to see from Bronze Bomber this one, whether he won, whether he lost, was just for him to go and to let his hands go. That's all I wanted to see. I just want to see a little bit of old Bronze Bomber. You know what I'm saying? That Bronze Bomber who, yeah, he doesn't have the greatest technique. He's not the best boxer like that. The footwork isn't crazy, but that man's going to let his hands go. And if he connects with the right shot, it's going to be curtains. But we didn't see it. We didn't see it against Joe Parker, and we didn't see it against Zhang. Zhang wasn't really throwing a whole lot himself, but the pressure that he was bringing, man, and in the heavyweight division, especially with these two, one shot can change the whole fight. But the way how Bronze Bomber went out, oh man, yeah, man, I didn't like that one bit, man. It didn't, you know, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. But the better man won the fight. Man, when you know how hard that you got to hit someone for them to turn around completely, and right when he turned around, that was probably the fastest I've ever seen Zhang move. My man Zhang was quick speed and caught him with that hand. So, you know, if this was the last time that we've seen Deontay Wilder, which I am expecting it to be, but I don't know the man personally. I don't know what's going on inside of his head and his team, but kind of the way how he's been talking kind of seems like this is the last run. This is the last stand. So if it is the case, man, all the best to that man. And, it just, at least he got a good payday. But, I was a little bit worried for both of these guys. I'm like, these guys aren't throwing the hands. Like, it's looking a little boring here. But you know how it is in the heavyweight division, man. Dustin, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Rough night to be Eddie Hearn. Oh, man, it was a rough night. Even across the board for me, I was 1 for 4 today. 1 for 3. 1 for 3. 1 for 3. I did say Zhang by devastating KO. Man, if tell it to me real quick. I know that the winner gets the 3 million. So is that the 3 million dispersed amongst the whole squad? Is that how it is? Let me know if that is, man. AJ versus Zhang next. That would be a good fight as well, too. But, man, it's looking like, it could be Daniel Dubois, which we're going to talk about next. Let's just work our way back. Let's work our way down. Janibek and Shiraz. Man, I got to be honest, man. You know what? I'm going to save that. Wilder career is finished. I never thought I'd say he should retire before Derek Chisora. Hey, Chris, first of all, man, good to see you, man. I know it's late over there. So I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Man, bro, at this point, man, give me the Bronze Bomber and Derek Chisora, man. Just give me the Bronze Bomber. I will take that fight. But, man, again, man, a hesitant Deontay Wilder is not the Bronze Bomber that we want to see. It's not the Bronze Bomber that we want to see. Hey, Seuss, man, you had a nice night, man. AJ versus Zhang at Wembley in September. Give me that fight. Let's see AJ Chin get tested. I like that fight, man. That fight going to sell out in seconds. I've liked Zhang ever since he stopped Joyce the first time. Man, the only thing for me with Zhang is I did not want to see him anywhere near that 290 range. You know what I'm saying? That 291, 92. I didn't like that size for him. It was a little bit too big. But him at 282, man, I like that. Only if Zhang had gas tank versus Parker, he wins that fight too. Absolutely. I agree. And even the pace of this fight, it was so slow. And I'm just like, man, at 41 years old, for Big Bang, who does not, if he's bringing the pressure and he's not the one, it's perfect for him. And it's a low output. They're not throwing a whole lot. Zhang, man, 41 years old, still feeling good. Any more thoughts on Zhang Wilder? I am actually about to open it up to anybody that wants to come on as we move on to the next fight that we're going to be talking about. Man, everybody that tends to tune in, appreciate each of you, man. I'm about to open it up to anybody that wants to come on. A lot of people have been hitting me in my DMs, just giving me their thoughts and their perspective, man. I want to give everybody the opportunity. If they want to come in and share their thoughts, you definitely can. I'm about to do it very, very, very soon. Just want to get everybody's thoughts on this before we move forward. Let me check these last comments. Happy for Dubois, but both him and Hrgovic defense was like having a crisp as a Torlock. And I predicted Dubois stoppage. Felt he had more power than Zhang. Man, I don't know where in the world Dubois got that chin from. I don't know what that man was doing in training, that preparation. I don't know where he got that chin from. But man, that was the performance for me. Like that might be performer of the night for me, because I was not expecting that type of version of Daniel Dubois. Not that I didn't think that he can win, man. I've said it many times. Daniel Dubois is a specimen, and he is what you would want a heavyweight to look like. That's a trainer's perfect storm right there. But I didn't expect him to just stand with those shots and to just keep pressing and keep coming. And not to mention, Hrgović looked like he was Hrgović looked terrible. That conditioning, not good, man. Not good. All right. As I said, I'm going to open it up for anybody that wants to come on right now. If you're just coming in, we just briefly touched on Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang. We haven't touched on anything else just yet, but we absolutely will, and we will keep things pushing forward. So I just opened it up. The link is in the chat for anybody that wants to come in and share their thoughts, discuss what we saw. You are absolutely more than welcome and would love to have you. Nick, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Great day of fights, unless your name is Eddie Hearn. Oh, man. Eddie Hearn had a long night. Oh, man. Wilder looked terrible. The hesitant Wilder was the Wilder we did not want to see, but that became the Wilder that we got. Oh, didn't want to see that version, but we got him. Oh, man, what a night. Big Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Hakeem?
Good to see you, my man. Good to see you, man. First and foremost, man, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for jumping on with me. I know you got thoughts. So let's start with the big boys, the real big boys. Wilder Zhang, what'd you think?
Man, I feel bad for Wilder. I've never been a big fan of him, but like, man, he just doesn't set up his punches. I mean, Zhang was there to be hit, and Wilder, you know what scared me before this fight was he said in an interview with Dan Raphael that he couldn't just get the shots off against Joseph Parker. He was kind of, he just couldn't get him off. And I was like, if you can't get him off against Joseph Parker, who you don't have to expect much coming back from, I don't think you're going to be able to get him off against Zhilei Zhang. You're just, just a shot fighter. And shout out to Zhilei Zhang. I just felt like Zhang he was in a better part in his career than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's got a lot of money in the bank. We've seen the best we could see of Deontay Wilder, and great performance by Zhang. Very boring fight.
Man, I just wanted to see a little bit of vintage Wilder, and we didn't get that. But as you said, man, I think the gun shy, and I get he was worried about what was coming back at him, but it's like, man, just go out the way how you came into the sport, man. And that's just by slugging. At least show us that. And I like Deontay Wilder, man. I like the story. I like why he's fighting. I relate to stuff like that. The pain and the hardship. Like I relate to that. But
and he said all the right things before the fight. He said all the right things. He said, I got my fire back. He said he couldn't pull the trigger against like Joshua Parker. And he's like, don't worry, I'm going to be the mean guy in there. And we just didn't see it. I just don't think it's there.
Yeah. But as you said, at least he got another big payday. And if this is the last fight, which we're all expecting it to be, he got a nice check attached to it, man. Let me check these comments before we move on to the co-main, man. Sadly, the round that Wilder got KTF was his come on, bro. Was his best round in the fight. I agree. Dubois surprised me. Man, let's go there, man. Let's go there. Daniel Dubois, Filip Hrgović, man. Nick, what was your thoughts on this fight, man? What stuck out to you?
Absolutely shocked. I wasn't as low on Daniel Dubois as everybody else. Everyone, kind of saying he didn't have heart and that he was going to quit against Hrgović. I didn't believe in any of that, but I guess as great of a performance as he put on, it's just a terrible performance by Hrgović, and that's what sticks out to me. I hate to say it because Dubois, like I said, great performance, but it's more of like, where the hell was Hrgovic the whole fight? He seemed like he was tired after the second round.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't take Dubois' punches. Dubois' footwork surprised me. But I keep forgetting Danny Dubois is only 26 years old.
Man, he seems like he's like 30-something, doesn't he?
That's great. Like, whenever you talk about the future of the heavyweight division, how often do you bring up Daniel Dubois' name?
That's a great question, man.
But I mean, who's to say he can't beat Jared Anderson if they fight in 1 or 2 years?
Honestly,
I mean,
with the type of shit that I saw from him, yo, Daniel Dubois is looking real in a nice spot right now. That was the thing that was surprising for me, Nick, man. Yo, he was taking some punches clean, consistently, and he took them. Yeah, some of them hurt a little bit, but he just took them and kept pushing forward. I'm just like, yo, what has gotten into this man? You know, he has all the physical gifts. He's got the power, but you just question, did he have that? You know, what happens if he gets hit and hit and hit and hit? Yeah, I'm not going to count out Daniel Dubois no more. Not me.
Oh, and you know what? This is a good route. Like, nobody likes to take this route, especially in the heavyweight division where you get those tough fights when you're young. But we all just forgot, like, the kid's still learning. And, you know, and this is the biggest win of his career. He got it at 26, but he's also got humbled a lot in his career. You know, I mean, it's just great for him. Like, look at him versus Joe Joyce, their career paths right now. And who would have thought we'd be here, like, you know, 3-4 years ago?
Jeez,
just awesome. Man. Very happy for that.
Yeah, man. You know, and you see, I was a little bit worried though when he went back to the corner, right? And they were trying to get his attention, and he was like looking out. He was looking right. The guy was like, "Yo, Daniel, look at me, look at me." And I'm just like, "Yo, what's going on?" And when you have 3 different pieces giving information, you're just like, "Wait a minute." As like, it also looked like to me in one of those rounds when he went back to the corner that he was just like, "Yo, just leave me alone." You know,
kind of like. Ray Ford actually said that during his fight too. Don't worry, I got it. Like, and that Zinad guy, there was corner stuff going on weird in his fight too. It was a weird night for the cornermen tonight.
But honestly, man, as you said, like I'm happy to see him win the fight, man. He puts him in a great position. This is a great position for him now. Pablo, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I know it's late over there, so I appreciate you taking the time to tap in with us for a little bit. Dubois has been doing some cardio, got his heart up. Dubois has been doing some meditation. He been doing some type of retreat on the solo. I don't know what type of training they've been doing, but if he can continue to look like this and have the chin like this, man, he's right there. Like AJ Dubois, go fight now.
And I was just gonna say, like, they're kind of like similar to, remember when AJ lost against Ruiz? Like, a lot of people questioned his heart and stuff like that, all that stuff. And now he just did a complete 180 with his career. I mean, same thing with Danny Dubois. Like, now we all love him, and you got to consider him as one of the top 5 heavyweights, I would say, right now.
Him and Parker don't look too bad either now, right? What was Hrgovic doing, man? Dude, Hrgovic needed to get back and do some conditioning. Man, look, I didn't even know he was saying all of the stuff that he was saying about Daniel Dubois, because I don't really catch all the press conference interview stuff live. And, you know, and sometimes those guys, they're always going to say the right things. They're always going to be confident. You can't really pay too much attention to that. But from my understanding, it seemed like he was looking through Dubois. And it's a terrible thing to do in a fight. Man, if I should have watched it, I would have changed my pick. You can't do that. You can't do that. Hrgovic just looked 4 rounds and he was done.
Yeah, I think he thought Daniel Dubois, like a lot of people thought, he's going to quit after I hit him with a few clean punches. And Hrgovic did land those punches, but he had no plan when Dubois was still standing there after 3 rounds.
Good point. He didn't expect that. Dubois, Caballero, or Parker, that's a good fight as well, too.
Caballero, that's a good name.
Shiraz mandatory for WSPC champ Adames. I'm sure now Shiraz gets better every time I've seen him. So big for a middleweight, man. You know, let's go there. Let's go there. What'd you think of Shiraz and Ammo Williams, man? You know, Shiraz looked massive. You know what I'm saying? Like he looked big. I was like, yo, how much this guy weighs?
when everyone said this was a 50-50 fight going into it, like this was my thing that I landed on. Like I love his body style compared to Ammo Williams. Like I don't like those muscled up guys against a tall, lanky guy like that at 160 pounds. Like Shiraz is just like that body type. It's going to be very tough to beat. I think he's the second best 160 pounder in the world, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody beats him. Isn't Janabek at 160?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, like I think he's better. I think he can beat Carlos Adames. Like Adames is probably like a better version of Ammo Williams, but it's just that technical style. He's very sharp with his punching, and I think he's got sneaky power. He's just tough to beat.
Man, that jab was on point, man. That jab was on point. You know, like a lot of people have been telling me about Shiraz for the past couple of years. You know, all good things. Obviously, you watch the tape and you see the skill set, you see the power. You know, but for me, it was just like, yo, what happens if he gets tested? Like, what's that grit like? And I'm like, Ammo should be able to test that grit. You know, Southpaw hasn't fought a Southpaw before like that, so we're gonna see how he was gonna do it. And Ammo had him hurt noticeably like 3 times in this fight. But God, I was really, really impressed with Shiraz. Not just how he handled the pressure and the calmness and the poise. Even when he was hurt, you know what I'm saying? He didn't just, you know, try to swing and try to panic. He shelled up, by this time. I was very impressed, man. And I got to say, you know, Nick, and for those listening, for those watching, you know, this was a fight I rated Shiraz, but now I rate Shiraz. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really rate him like that. I rated him on my radar, but man, I rate him a lot more, man. And
it's
like
hard to say, like, because like you said earlier, like he hasn't shown it because he really hasn't had to, but like it was supposed to be in his last fight against Liam Williams. He was supposed to be tested there. Unfortunately, knocked him out in the first round, but that was supposed to be his fight where he was going to get to show a little something. It happened to be this fight where he was going to be able to, and he did.
He's the real deal. He's the real deal. I'm a believer on Hamza Shiraz, man. I'm a believer in Hamza Shiraz. I know a lot of people have been telling me, you know, I got to get there on my own, but I appreciate everybody that's been saying, man. Let's get to some of these comments, man. Both were concerned with each other's power. First of all, my brother Francisco, all the way from AZ, thank you for taking the time to tune in, man. Both were concerned with each other's power, trying to maneuver into better punching positions. It's hard to score. Wilder opened up, got caught with a big counter, tough end for Wilder. It's over. Yeah, I agree. And I hate to see it happen like that. You never want to see guys go out, especially get stopped. You know what I'm saying? It's just a tough way to go out.
Hey, real quick about Wilder. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer in your opinion? I mean, I think he's just under a Hall of Famer, but when you let guys in, like, I mean, Ricky Hatton just got in. I mean, do you think Wilder's a Hall of Famer in, 3 years?
I think he's going to be budging at that door, man. And Nick, you might know this, and for those watching, recap my mind on this. Wilder had a lot of title defenses.
That's the thing. The title defenses, the knockouts. He also held his title for 5-6 years or whatever. When you go by that, because I think his resume is very weak. I mean, when you look at it, but you can't discount that number of consecutive title defense, no matter who he was fighting. But
and I think that's going to be the sell, right? He's had a lot of title defenses, and in the prime Deontay Wilder, like he was must see because he's giving you what we want in boxing, and that's knockouts. But you do make a good point. Like his resume isn't crazy. If he would have got one of those Tyson Fury wins on his record, that might have been the one to put him in there. But I think his best bet is going to be, the excitement, knocking cats out, but also the amount of title defenses that he's defended and came on top. And I think that's probably going to be the thing where it's like, do we look at the record, or do we look at, man, he was the champion for this long and he defended it for this long. But I've seen lesser guys also get into the Hall of Fame, Nick, that you question as well too. You can see how Daniel Dubois gained a lot of confidence after defeating Big Baby Miller. Absolutely. Absolutely. Apparently, they made a pre-fight pact to disregard defense. Dubois reboots his career after a TKO victory in a hard toe-to-toe battle. Since when does Dubois? That's what I'm saying, my brother Francisco. I don't know. I don't know what exercises you can do to strengthen the chin. I don't know if you can go, hit your doctor up and say, hey, man, you could put a little bit of granite in my chin. I don't know what the heck you could do. But that chin, yo, that chin is looking surreal, Sabriel Matthias like, man. Dubois' confidence grew round by round. Good chin, great attitude. Obviously, a hard worker, trainable. Absolutely. I can't believe this ended. It was all bad for Eddie Hearn. All bad for Eddie Hearn. I was like, come on, bro, get one. Get one. Man, I appreciate that generosity, man. I really appreciate that. Means a lot. Does Dubois have a chance against AJ? How do their styles match up? Nick, what do you think about that, man?
I think he's got a great shot. To be honest, like watching that fight after the first round, I said Hrgović might win this fight, and I'm a big AJ fan. I would rather see him in the ring with Hrgović because Dubois seems quick. Yeah. And with AJ, one of the problems he might have is against smaller, like faster fighters. Dubois is a quick fighter. And I mean, now that he's got this chin, I don't know if it'll hold up against AJ. Yeah. But I could see Daniel Dubois winning a lot of rounds against AJ. I would favor AJ in that fight, and I would probably put AJ at like a 4-1 favorite in that fight. But he's definitely got a very good chance of beating him. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
When you look at them physically, Nick, don't they kind of look like similarly built in some ways? And so for me, I'm just like,
seems faster.
Yeah. I think Dubois might be faster, but I think AJ might be better technically. And
yes.
So, that could be part of it too. Like, I think AJ has gotten much better with this new trainer. And he's got his confidence back again. Like, we always knew he could punch, but now he seems like he's moving back with that swagger and that belief again, but so is Dubois. So to answer your question, Resistance Recovery, man, absolutely, I think Dubois has a chance against AJ, but if they were to fight, in a couple months from now, I would have to lean AJ. But, as you said, Nick, was this the chin that we're going to see from Daniel Dubois moving forward? Or was this a mix of extra motivated, extra prepared? This guy's looking through me. I want to take this guy's head off. When you're in the press conference against AJ makes you like the guy. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to go in with that same animosity and that same hunger and that same like killer attitude against AJ when AJ is saying, oh, I respect you. I think you're a great fighter and this and that. And you catch yourself saying, oh man, I don't really want to punch this guy. I think he went into this one with a lot of confidence and he looked inspired to me, Nick. Very inspired to me.
Hey, if he wants a chip on his shoulder, just go read the comment section on every single video that he's in. Everyone calls him a quitter and everything like that. I mean, and maybe he can get something out of that because you're right. Like, fighting AJ, he's a hard guy to hate. But Dubois, I mean, I expect big things out of him.
Man, again, I'm incredibly impressed by Daniel Dubois. Really not so much about the physical and the skill set. I've always said, man, he's a very skillful fighter. He's a trainer's like dream in a gym, but you always question what happens if he gets hit and you get hit and you get hit. And that was what was most impressive to me, and if Dubois ever sees this, man, look, man, I apologize to you. If you keep that chin up like that, dog, you're going to be tough to beat. And he's got the experience of being in there with Usyk, as well too. And but it's also like, Nick, where the heck was that chin against Usyk? Where the heck was that chin?
I know, man. Where was that chin when he got knocked down 3 times in the first round against Kevin Laverne or whatever his name was?
Yeah, Kevin Lorena. Where was that?
Yeah.
So it's like he must have been expired. Something was different in the water today, man. I don't think Shiraz can handle Bronco Adames. The Dominican has more power, chin, and pace. Man, I hope they make that fight ASAP because I want to see that one. Shiraz jab looks like a little Tommy Hearns. I like that. I like that comparison.
I've heard that comparison before. Yeah, I like it.
I like that comparison. For me, the reborn AJ beats Dubois. I'm with you on that, my man Pablo. I tend to believe Dubois struggle against athletic boxers like AJ or Usyk. Good point. Good point. Wilder shouldn't be first ballot, but the long reign, the title defense, and the KO should get him in. As you guys alluded, the Boxing Hall of Fame is not as tough to get into as other sports. 100%.
I'll be at the Boxing Hall of Fame next weekend. They got the Hall of Fame week. And I usually talk to Ed Brophy. He runs the Hall of Fame there. And that's going to be my big question is like, Wilder's pretty much done now. Do you put him in there? And we'll see what he says.
And what's the criteria? Like what's really this always
because I've asked him before, like, because when you got a guy like Wilder, like there's guys out there like Igmar Johansson has a very weak resume as a heavyweight, but he's got the win over Floyd Patterson, and that's the sole win that got him in there. Wilder doesn't have a win like that, but he's got all those title defenses like he talked about. So I don't know.
Yeah. And he's got some, it's not names that pop out at you, but it's names like in the top 10. Like I would argue that one of his best wins is King Kong Ortiz, but the thing is like, and I never want to, it always sounds crazy when we talk about, Cuban fighters. We really don't know how old Ortiz really is. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a good win, and it was a win.
Guys like him and Chris Areola, like those are solid wins.
But it's like when you're talking about the other guys, the Hall of Fame guys, like a Fury and those cats, it's like he just didn't get it done against them.
And also, in like 10 years from now, is anybody going to remember who Luis Ortiz was?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good point as well, too. Man, let's keep it moving, Nick. Yeah, let's touch on Bivol. Let's touch on Bivol and Zenad, man. What do you think about that one, man?
I mean, great performance by Bivol. He got hit a little bit too much. I was impressed by that Zenade guy. He's got a lot of power. He stood there and threw with Bivol. Like, people hate on Bivol because he doesn't get knockouts. He only got a knockout in that fight because the other guy was willing to punch with him because that was his only chance to win. That guy could have got on his back foot, covered up, and just survived for 12 rounds, I think. But he gave himself the best chance to win, and he lost against, in my opinion, the best light heavyweight in the world. So, I mean, but Bivol took what was given to him, and brilliant knockout. But like I say, he got hit a little bit too much. And I mean, if you don't like Bivol, you could just say like, man, if he gets hit like that against Beterbiev, it's game over. And they're probably right.
Man, do you think, Nick, that he was trying to prove something, Bivol, in that fight?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Bivol has it in him. I think he's just there to win. I mean, there's that stat that I heard before the fight, like he hasn't knocked anybody out in like, what was it, like six or 9 years or something like that. But I don't think he worries too much about that. Like I said, I think he just took what was given to him, and it had more to do with who he was fighting and the way the guy fought than anything else. But maybe there was a little bit of that to get him ready for Beterbiev, and maybe it's a good thing that he got hit a little bit because he's going to be his chin will be tested against Beterbiev. So he got a few rounds in there, got hit, got the knockout. It's kind of a perfect performance from him.
Yeah, man. I thought Zenad had a decent showing. And I thought that his performance actually probably going to set him up to fight on some other fights down the road because he came out and, landed some nice clean shots against, as you said, one or two in that division, depending on what you like more. That shows good. You didn't get knocked out in the first round or the second round. You had your moments. You did your thing. You got back up when you were hit. As far as Bivol, man, I'm on the other side of that, man. I think he was gunning for that knockout. I think he needed that. Not necessarily that he needed it for his career or anything, but just from up here, to say, wait, man, like I came into this professional settings, like knocking people out. 11 fights, 11 KOs. And when you always hear, man, he hasn't gotten a knockout in 6 years, man, has the power gone? Is he not as big as a puncher as he thought that he was? Is he fading? Is he getting older? A great fighter always is able to block stuff out but a human person always hears it. And it's in the back of your mind. It's in your subconscious mind. The conscious is always thinking, I'm just going to get the win. He's so skilled, so talented. He can box his way to a victory, 12-0 any time of the night. But it's always in the back of your mind where it says, man, they say I can't take that risk. They say I don't have that power. And so for him to do that, I wanted to see that knockout. And it's good to see him. And I think when he got the stoppage, when he turned around and just screamed, he was like, that actually meant quite a bit to him.
The reason I said it, I didn't think it, is just because of his personality. Absolutely. For 95% of other fighters, I would have said exactly what you said. I just, for him, he seems like such a quiet, humble guy. Absolutely. And but yeah, you're probably right.
And and it's I like that you said it's good for him to get hit, because he's used to not really getting hit a whole lot. And, better BF, when he hits you, you're going to feel it. And so for him to actually not just retreat, but to stand there and to say, okay, cool, I'm right here. I just thought it was good from a confidence standpoint. Great performance from Shiraz, good technical ability, but I would actually pick Janibek, who is sharper and more skillful. Shiraz will outbox Adames, but Adames is a dangerous man. It's time to have some shakeups in the 160-pound division, man. It's absolutely time. That division's been slowing down a little bit.
Maybe this 5 versus 5 thing, maybe we get AJ versus Dubois and another 5 versus 5. And this could be the headliner.
Because Eddie Hearn needs to to get some get back at some point, man.
Yeah.
Man, let's keep it pushing, Nick. Ray Ford, Nick Ball. What do you think about this one, man?
That's my guy, Ray Ford. I love Ray Ford. I was at his last fight against Kolmatov. I was rooting for him so big in this fight. I was very confident that he was gonna stand his ground. I actually think he hits harder than Nick Ball. I thought he was faster. I thought he was bigger. All those things, but man, he just couldn't deal with that pressure and style from Nick Ball. And when I made a prediction for this fight, I obviously picked Ray Ford. I love Nick Ball and everything, but I said, Ray Ford talking about all this weight cut. He doesn't like cutting weight at 126. He wants to move up to 130. If he doesn't have a good weight cut, that pressure fighting off the back foot is very tiring. He could get tired. That didn't even matter in this fight. Nick Ball just straight up beat that man. I scored at 7-5. There's some people saying Ray Ford actually won that fight. Not mad at that, but I bet Ray Ford. I still didn't have him winning that fight. I had Nick Ball winning 5 out of the 6 of the first 6 rounds. And I mean, great performance by Nick Ball. I'm so happy he got a world title after that Vargas fight, and he deserves it. Him versus Luis Alberto Lopez has got to be one of the best fights to make in all of boxing. Two guys that are under 5'4".
Man, how did you have those championship rounds? How did you score those last 3 rounds for you personally?
They were close. I had most of them for Ford. Ford took over the second half of that fight. I just happened to give Ball 5 out of the first 6, and I think he found a way to win 2 rounds in the last 6 rounds. So I think I gave him like somewhere from like 9 to 11. I gave him like 2 rounds in there somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but a lot of those rounds were close. There was a lot of people saying Ford just straight up took over after he probably broke his nose in the 7th round. And I thought a lot of those rounds were close, and I gave 1 or 2 of them to Ball, and I thought he eked out a decision. But man, Ford definitely came on.
Yeah. I thought it was a extremely close fight. I think there were some rounds that were swing rounds, especially in the early part. I don't know, and I would love to ask, Savage Ford this, and maybe I'll reach out to him and see if he wants to come on the show one of these days. But I just want to ask him, man, like, when you're fighting a guy like Nick Ball, he's coming to outwork you. That's what he has to do. He has to come in close, and he has to let his hands go. And I don't know if Ford really, really was ready for that type of pressure that was going to come, because he kept getting hit with the same shot over and over again, the same combinations over and over again.
We're killing him early.
Yeah, it was boom, left hand, right hand, uppercut, come around the guard, and it was the same like 5 combinations. I'm just like, yo, what's going on, man? I know this guy doesn't punch harder than Komatov. He does not punch harder than Komatov, but I don't know if it just seemed like he was a little bit hesitant, and it seemed like he didn't want to let his hands go, especially in the early part of the fight. But when he did hurt him, and he did hurt him to his nose, it's like something clicked where it was just like, wait a minute, like I can hurt this guy. But I I'm not mad at either guy winning, but I thought it was a draw. Personally, for me, I leaned it around for Ray Ford because of those 3 championship rounds. And they always say as well too with the judges, they don't remember the first couple rounds. What goes inside their head is like, man, what did the last round look like? What did the last round look like? And I was like, man, Ford, he had a lot of momentum coming in. But I do think this, Nick. I think that he might have slightly overlooked Nick Ball. And I think Nick Ball gave him a harder fight than he might have thought that was going to happen. But I also look at, after his press conference, usually sometimes when you lose, guys go crazy and they say, man, that's not right. Like that's terrible. But, in his mannerisms, his facial expressions, yeah, he okay, cool. I lost.
You know what else should have helped him out in the judging wise? And it's not the way I judged it, but once you hurt somebody, just like when Usyk knocked down Fury, if the next couple of rounds are close, you still have in your mind that Ford hurt Ball the round before. Yes. So you tend to swing those rounds in Ford's favor. I don't do that, but a lot of people do. Like same thing, like after Usyk knocked down Fury, I think Fury came back decent, but when you have in your mind Usyk knocked him down, there's a lot of people just saying, "Oh, Usyk just swept the rest of the fight," and some people saying the same thing about Ford. Ford swept the rest of the fight after he hurt him in the 7th round, and that should have helped him.
Yeah,
but it didn't.
I thought he looked good this time, better than he did against Komatov, just from a physical weight standpoint. It looked like he was doing all the right things. He didn't look depleted. He looked good. He just got outworked, and it never, you can't, and that's the thing, man. When you're fighting a pressure fighter, you can't give up rounds. And I felt like Ford gave up a couple of those early rounds. And it looked like in some ways that, man, is this guy going to do what he did to Komatov again to Ball? He's going to be able to do it again? But man, I gotta tip my hat to Nick Ball, man. That man is tough. Like,
you know what? Nick Ball was on a mission too. Had this fight happened without the Ray Vargas fight happening for Nick Ball, I think it would have been a different story. But because Nick Ball started so slow in that Vargas fight, I think he knew in this fight, I got to get those early rounds because I'm definitely going to be there at the end of the fight. I can win a few rounds at the end, but if I build this big lead, and that's what the guy did.
And it looks great. So Ford moves up. I would love to see a rematch, but at the same time, man, at 126, he's ready to be done with that. He's ready to move up. Absolutely, I get that 1,000%. But it's just like, man, you cannot. I honestly think Nick Ball being 5'3", whatever he is, 5'2",
5'2",
works in his favor. Because it's hard to punch down, while and he can slip in uppercuts because he doesn't have to do much. But it must be very, very annoying and frustrating to fight a guy like Nick Ball because he keeps coming.
Yeah, not for nothing, but I don't know why. I understand why Ray Ford took this fight because of the platform and everything, but why would you take this fight if you just want to move up to 130? Just move up to 130 after you won the title. There's no reason to fight a guy like Nick Ball. It's a terrible style for you. There's not many ways he can win out of that because even if he beat Nick Ball, he's going to move up anyways. But it's just a terrible style for him. And he didn't, like I said, he said he was weight trained against Komatov. So I knew he wanted to move up. But I understand just taking this fight because you probably got a ton of money for it. But
yeah, this was tough to watch, man. As a guy who likes Savage Ford, and I like Nick Ball as well too.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like, man, he let those early rounds go and he didn't show him enough respect at the beginning of the fight. And once he had him hurt, like really had him bloody and hurt, I was like, yo, now it's time to be on the offensive. You fought 7 rounds against Kolmatov, like on the front foot, aggressive against a bigger puncher. I'm like, yo, use your size and bully this cat. You know what I'm saying?
And he did it. He did it sometimes in this fight. And I was like, yeah, keep ball on his back foot. That guy don't know how to fight off his back foot. And he did stand his ground a few times, but it just wasn't enough. And like you said before, like the pressure just too much for him.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, it was a good fight, man. It was a good fight. Totally agree with your view about Ray Ford. He took too long to make the adjustments and start throwing more punches. And the other concern for me too that I saw, man, he got cut again. That's like what another fight back to back. I'm like, man, the scar tissue in the face is, you know, it's always going to take a little bit of damage. But before we talk about the last few fights, and we got a couple more questions before we finish up for you, Nick. Do you think Ray Ford will handle this weight a little bit better at 130?
Absolutely. I honestly think it might be a hot take, but I think he beats O'Shaquie Foster. I think they're going to fight within about a year or so. I think that's a better style for him to beat. I think he's going to handle the weight a lot better. And I think he could beat some of the better fighters up there at 130. And I think he could be the best 130 pounder in the world within like a year or so.
Man, I love the fact that these guys nowadays, in this generation now, you know, the generation before the Floyd Mayweather era, right? You go in undefeated, 50-0, 100-0, 99-0. You got to protect that. Oh, I don't want to see no more people protecting the O's anymore. And now we're seeing some of these fights because we're seeing, man, in boxing, in the sport, you can still have a loss, 2 losses, 3 losses, but it's how you come back. And this is what I like to see now. Right, we can talk about how the fight is going to go, Nick. This is what the channel is about. I talk about predictions all the time, but it doesn't matter what we say. They got to go into the ring and make it happen, you know. And it's really good. I like this because from a guy like Ray Ford, who is from Camden, New Jersey, that place is tough. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be a champion again. The skills are still there. So I think
the more that happens, where guys aren't afraid to lose their O, the more people keep doing it because they're not going to be so worried about keeping that O on their name because people will just be fighting each other and they're going to be like, man, I guess I got to step up. Because you know what happens is they keep their O and then they eventually get exposed the first time they step up in a title fight or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're calling out every name in the book after the loss. I've noticed that with a lot of fighters, like just to think of one, like Caleb Plant. Like, remember when he was like undefeated and then he lost to Canelo, and after the Canelo fight, he was calling out everybody. And I'm just like, these are all the guys that we wanted to see you fight before the Canelo fight. It took you losing a fight to then get all these big fights. Now all of a sudden we got, you know, him versus Benavidez and stuff like that. It's like, why couldn't we get that fight before? You know, but I don't know. But I think a lot of them feel like if I don't keep my O, people are going to write me off. So I think if that happens enough to really good fighters, they lose their O at some point and people stop caring because us as fans are some of the blame for that. The way we jump on people like Ryan Garcia, people jump on him just because he lost to Tank Davis. You know who else would have lost to Tank Davis? You know, have that as the only loss in their career? Pretty much every other fighter in the weight division. But at least the guy's taking the fight. You got to give him some. But as soon as he lost to Tank Davis, they're just like, nah, man, we got to write him off. So they put all these other undefeated fighters above him just because they don't have a loss. And it's like, if you have, I love quality losses on a guy's resume. But there's a lot of fans out there. I think it's the younger fans, they got to see that. Oh,
man, that's why I got love for Mario Barrios, man. Because his losses were some quality losses, man. There's no harm in losing to Tank, and you were up on some of the cards, and it's no harm in losing to Keith Thurman as well, too. You know, and so, but Brother Francisco says, should Ford go after one of the top guys at 130 right away, or should he do someone not in an elite as intro at 130? Man, I want to see him just go and test it, man. I think he's been in enough tough championship, high-level fights to be able to go and to say, you know what, like, I'm here. I'm not really trying to take a back seat. Let me go and showcase my skill here, because there are some guys right now that I think Ford would beat right now who are a champion. What do you think about this one, Nick?
I agree with you. Just throw him in there. Like I said, he would beat O'Shaquie Foster, and like I think he should have one fight against. Man, I'm running out of names at the 130-pound division in my head, but I mean, I'd love. I think he could fight a top 5 guy, definitely a top 10 guy, and then because they were talking about that O'Shaquie Foster fight, but Ray Ford arguably won this fight today, so he shouldn't drop down at all. He should keep going. And I think he's going to be a lot better at the 130-pound weight class. But there's just not a lot of fighters there either.
Yeah. I'm not sure in Kakashi next fight against. I heard that as well too. That's another performance that was crazy as well too, man. But if Kakashi is defending against Nunes, that's going to be a tough fight, man. Ford versus Valdez. What do you think about this one, man?
Man, that's a perfect fight right there. And I think he'd beat Valdez. I would favor him about like 3-1 over Valdez. But that's a great fight right there. Yeah, Oscar Valdez.
And that's a fight where one of these two going to have to dig deep again. Because
yeah.
That's going to be a hard-fought fight.
I'll tell you, that would be a fight of the year type of fight right there.
Man. Makai, what's going on, man? I'm happy for Nick Ball. Honestly, I thought they were going to give the edge to Ford, so I thought Ball would have to win outright. Man, you could make a case for either or, very close fight. I wonder what this performance for the other champions, what they think of this fight. Are they looking at Nick Ball as just like, I saw Shushu, he put a tweet, and his tweet, 4 letters, FOOD. So he thinks it's food. He thinks it's easy work. And against Shushu, yes, Shushu a beast too. So I'm wondering.
I think Shushu's ready for anybody. He's that good, even this early in his career. I know he's got a kind of a step up fight coming up next week or 2 weeks from now, but I mean, Shushu is that good. That would be a great fight. But Ball is the same, like those real short fighters or really tall fighters. It's just like sometimes people can't figure them out, and it just happens sometimes. It's a funny thing, but to be honest, I think we get Nick Ball versus Ray Vargas next. I think that's going to be the fight we get next.
Unification and rematch.
As much as I would, like I said, him versus Luis Alberto Lopez, just sign me up for that right away. I mean, that's the fight to make. But I mean, Nick Ball can beat anybody because of that style and that pressure. It's like it's so hard to train for. Yeah. Like they said during the fight, Ford's trainer said Ball's got the best best pressure fighter he's ever seen before, as far as just nonstop pressure. He said he's never seen anybody like that with that much pressure. And yeah, how do you train for a thing like that? And then, it's tough.
And where do you get the training partners to be this size? And Nick Ball is solid through and through. Like, the man is muscular. He's built. How do you get someone to come into camp like that and mimic that same pressure? It's almost like, man, you can't be sparring 12-minute rounds or 12 rounds. You got to go for like 17 to 20 back to back, because he just doesn't stop. I'd be very curious to see what his conditioning is like, man. I've counted out Nick. Well, I'm not gonna say counted out. I went against him twice, and one was the draw. And this time, close fight, even though I thought Ford edged it for me. Dog, no matter what you think of the man, no matter if you think he's good, no matter you think he's basic, dog, the man is tough. He's got heart, he's got will, and he's got belief. And sometimes that can be enough, even if the skill isn't like anybody else's. I still think Ford is the more skilled fighter. But Absolutely. We saw on the night, the skill didn't get it done. The skill didn't get it done.
Plus, I think Ray Ford would destroy Vargas. But Ball just went life and death with the guy, but then Ball beats Ford. It's funny how that works out, but I mean, it's just that style. Some people are going to have problems with it.
The beat says Nick Ball will beat Ray Vargas, man. We got to touch on one more fight, Nick, before I got a couple more questions, man, and we'll close out there. I didn't do a breakdown of this one. Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson. What do you think of this fight, man? What do you think about this one?
I got my pick right. I took Willie Hutchinson in this fight. He's a little bit of an underdog, mainly just because I think this was just a fight where it just shows one guy was 10 years younger than the other guy.
Yeah.
Spider Richards is probably the better fighter, but like the young, hungry Willie Hutchinson, like that was his Super Bowl right there.
Oh, 1,000%.
And Spider Richards has been in there with guys like Bivol. And like some people looked at this fight and was like, Spider Richards was so good against Bivol. It was only 3-4 years ago or whatever. So like, if he could be half of that, he should be able to beat a guy like Willie Hutchinson who lost to like Lennox Clark or something like that. But Hutchinson, I was very, very surprised with how dominant he was. And Spider Richards just couldn't get it going the whole fight. He tried like popping out his jab, but even the commentator said early in the fight, not gonna be able to win this fight with a jab. And Willie Hutchinson ain't the greatest fighter in the world, but he does have an amateur pedigree, and he was kind of just like that left hook, left hook something else combo that he was throwing all night. But it was like a lead left hook that he would throw. It was landing money on Richards.
Yeah, man. Spider just looked old, man. And I say that with the utmost respect because I'm a big Spider guy. I like everything about him. He's got Jamaican in him too. So, I'm biased there always, but man, he just looked a step behind in every category. He didn't look as fast. His punches didn't have as much power on it. His jab wasn't jabbing like he usually does because he's got long reach. He's got long arms. For as great as he did against Dimitri Bivol, he should be able to box his way to a victory against this guy. But I think
did great against Buatsi. He's got a new trainer. But you know what? The time off, too. I forgot to bring that up, but I was going to say the time off that Richards had, he had a fight recently, but he took like 2 years off. And, he had COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's only had like 1 or 2 fights in the last like 3-4 years. And it's just like it showed. His timing wasn't there.
In 5 years earlier, in not even 5, 3 years earlier, Spider gets him out of there because he was tiring. But I'm not going to take any credit from him because Hutchinson boxed very, very well. I didn't expect that type of performance, but man, it was very, what's the word I want to use? Honestly, Nick, very dominant, man, like consistent as well too. A great performance from him.
He tired out a little bit because he had never had 7 rounds. And for him to go 12, I don't know why that fight was scheduled for 12 rounds, but for him to go 12 rounds like that, I mean, shout out to that man from Scotland.
Yeah, seriously. Nick, let's finish up with these 3 questions, man. Let's go your upset of the night for you. Or upset or most surprising of the night for you.
Danny Dubois, without a question. I mean, Jesus. But now, we might look at this in a couple of years and be like, and after Danny Dubois, if he goes on a little run, even if he loses to AJ or whatever, like, I think he's going to be a really good heavyweight now. I don't want to be that like Monday morning quarterback and stuff like that, but like he looks really freaking good. I hate to be that guy. Like I usually, like to step back after a fight like this and be like, well, I still watch those other fights. Those actually happen. But the guy looks great. I just keep forgetting he's only 26 years old. So and that was definitely the most surprising performance.
Yeah, but same for me. Man, again, how he was able to respond when he got hit and the belief that he stood on when it almost looked a little bit dysfunctional in his corner as well too. It reminds me of when, and you probably remember it, and for those watching, you remember a time, I forgot who Floyd was fighting, and Floyd was in the corner and his dad was telling him, yo, Floyd, you got to move with the left, hit with the right, you got to duck and lit, and Floyd was looking out, like looking almost as he was out of the fight, and he was like, Floyd, listen to me. He was like, yeah, I heard what you said. Dip with the left, hit with the head is that. And he was like, all right.
I've seen that video. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. So, and Dubois sometimes seems dazed to me because he did the same thing against Usyk in the corner, but man, I think he's fighting with a level of belief and confidence. And again, that chin, I wasn't surprised by him beating Hrgović, but how he beat Hrgović was what I was surprised by. What a performance, man. So we're on the same in that one. Performance of the night for you in the sense, what was that for you? So we take out the Dubois and we take out Hrgović. Who was the performance of the night for you? What fight apart from that one?
I'll go ahead and give it to Nick Ball just because he did it against a guy like Ray Ford because of who his opponent was. Like, I'd love to say Shiraz, but because of who his opponent was, I'll go with Nick Ball. And I mean, just shout out to him for getting it done and being in a fight of the year type of fight like that too, and coming through like that. I mean, just a great job by that guy.
Man, I think it's hard not to go with that one as well too. I think Shiraz and Williams, because they're still pretty young in their career. Like, yeah, they have got over 16 fights. But at the same time, their name is still relatively not at the top guys type of level. They're still building up. But when you talk about, and you also got taken to play as well, too, the performance. Imagine if that fight would end in a draw, Nick Ball and Ford again. 0-2 in championship. 0-2 in draw in a championship. It just wouldn't look good, And then you got to take into the mix, too, the type of performance that Ford was coming off of. And how he had to dig. And so for him to come in to have another close fight like that, and, Nick Ball was hurt noticeably, blood gushing down. It looked like it was over for that man. And then for him to never feel overwhelmed or to never feel like the moment was too big, man, it was a spectacular performance, man. So I'm with you on that. And here's the last one, Nick. Most disappointing performance of the night for you?
The opposite of our first question. I mean, Filip Hrgović or Deontay Wilder. I mean, but definitely surprising. Just Hrgović. I mean, to be honest, I don't know where he goes from here. I know he's only 31 years old, but he looked so bad, and he looks like he has no gas tank whatsoever. I mean, I don't see him being able to hang with many guys in the top 10. I don't know. There's not many really good heavyweights in there, but I think there's a lot of young guys. Like Jared Anderson might want to call him up and be like, hey, I want to get a name on my resume.
Yeah, seriously.
Hrgović is going to have to take any fight he gets from here on out. So, I mean, it's got to be Hrgović.
Man, yeah, he's in a tough spot because, Dubois is 26 still, and he's 31, 32, as you said. And so now it's like, well, you were winning this fight. The AJ fight was probably going to be yours in most cases. Losing this fight is the worst scenario possible for you. It's not completely over, but it makes his climb to the top a little bit harder because, now you're not going to get that AJ fight or that Zhang fight. So those two are out. You're not going to get a rematch with Dubois. So that's out. So that's 3. So, the Joe Joyce is there. Chisora is always going to be there. But you also need a fight that you're going to look good in, and so Anderson is there. Apataya, whenever he wants to move up, he could probably be there. So it's a tough and tight position. And yeah, I don't know where he goes from here, but whatever he does, man, he needs to go back and get that cardio right. You got to do some road work and get that sorted out because that wasn't.
People might bring back up like, well, he arguably lost to Zhilei Zhang too. So, I mean, it's not just like he was an undefeated killer coming into this fight and he lost one fight. People could look back now and say, oh, you know what? He didn't look that good against Zhilei Zhang either. He looked terrible against Daniel Dubois. He doesn't have too many quality wins if you take away that Zhang fight. How
Hmm.
good is the guy really? Just to play a devil's advocate on the guy.
And that's also the thing as well too, is now, when you lose, there's so much more questions that come to light. And yeah, it shouldn't be like this. We should be giving people grace because they are human beings at the end of the day too. But it's also, if we don't, as spectators and people who watch the sport, if we don't pose these questions, man, and if we don't ask these things, the sport, it would be boring. If we give everybody, we got to judge everybody accordingly. And every time you lose a fight, well, how good was that person? That's a question that every athlete has to come and take into mind. Is it fair? No, but it's a reality of the sport that you do. When you lose, questions are going to be asked. For me, though, Nick, man, I got to go with Bronze Bomber, man, because what he was saying, I believed him. Because
Yeah.
I believed him. And I've been
Yeah.
seeing the comments were going crazy saying, man, he's washed up in this and that. I said, look, I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm not saying that. But I'm going to believe him at his word for him to say, I've had time to reflect. I've sat back and I've went and I was gun shy against Joe Parker. I'm not going to come into this fight doing the same thing. And he nailed it and he nailed it and he nailed it. And when he came into the ring, he didn't do what he said that he was going to do. And that was disappointing for me because as a Deontay Wilder guy who still likes him to this day, win, lose, or draw, I like the guy. I like his story. You did not. I can't believe you if you should ever go into the ring again and to say, I'm going to knock this cat out. I don't know. I don't know that to be true anymore. And so for me, that was disappointing because, you said you were going to go out, win, lose, or draw. I'm going to let these hands fly. And we didn't see that. And for that was the disappointing thing for me, man. And I hated to see him lose that fight the way how he lost that fight, because I don't think that he went out on his shield as he always does. You got to protect the fighter. I have no issue with the stoppage whatsoever, but you're too gun shy. This is the fight world. Can't be gun shy against a guy whose nickname is Big Bang.
Coming into that fight, like, I picked Zhang to win this fight, but big, slow southpaw who doesn't move his head, tailor-made for a right hand. Deontay Wilder has the best right hand in the sport. It was all set up for him. It was there for him, and he just didn't take it.
Francisco says, at the moment, I still got Ford Komatov as the fight of the year, but we got the second half left. Absolutely. Before we close out, Nick, man, give me a score of 1 to 10. This whole card, what do you rate it?
I'd say it an 8, an 8 or a 9. I mean, just a great card. I mean, it might be the best card so far this year because a lot of the cards, like, I was so happy just to have 5. There was 6 total fights on here, but obviously the Bivol is going to be a mismatch. But there was no like 2-0 against a guy who's 3-37 or something like that. There was none of that on this card. So top to bottom, the card was great. I'm kind of sick of watching all those undercard fights of building up fighters and whatever, and just put a ton of them on there and then one solid fight on there. This fight, top to bottom, every fight was at least competitive on paper.
Yes.
And you got a fight like Ray Ford versus Nick Ball. You got the knockouts. You got a little bit of everything. You got a bunch of upsets in the card. You can't really ask for anything else.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it about an 8.5, man. Because of some of the, like, Dubois' performance sticks out to me so big, man. But the fact that every fight was pretty near competitive, man. Like even Shiraz and Williams, it was still a competitive fight and had some moments. I felt like every fight had a moment where it was just like, that was good. That was good. That was good.
Willie Hutchinson almost gassed out towards the end of that fight. Richards was coming on late in that fight. He had a little chance here and there. There wasn't it was a good fight, good card.
Man, Nick, I appreciate you taking the time to tune in, man. Just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to talk about it as well, too. I know everybody's got thoughts. Word UK, like, I see you here, man. I'm gonna let you come in real quick, just share your thoughts, man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, man. Listen, bro. It was a great card. I enjoyed it, and that's it, bro. It's like I personally thought that the fights weren't of a good quality. The Zhilei Zhang fight against Wilder was probably a B level fight. In terms of the actual card itself,
Mm-hmm.
it was good. It was good. We had the ball Ford fight. I personally think Ford won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Ford was a bit. He was a bit more offensive towards the late rounds. This guy was hitting him with small shots. It's okay hitting people with the small shots, but you got you got to do damage, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
that
hear you,
that that
man.
that's my opinion.
I thought Ford did enough as well too, man. But I'm not mad at Ball getting the nod either, man. But
Ford definitely
Yeah,
landed the
yeah,
punches in that fight too. The clean shots. It's just sometimes I think Ball shots looked a little bit more flashy because he doesn't throw any jabs. He
mm,
throws a lot of hooks and uppercuts. Sometimes Ford head was going back, like you said, as he was cut. So maybe that's what the judges saw.
the optics.
it's like I watched Ford before live. I watched him in America live, and I've seen how he fights, and he's obviously come up from where he was. He had a bad upbringing, this, that, and the other. But I tell you what, Bull was putting him on him. You could have easily scored that a win to Bull. You
Hmm.
could have said that was a Bull win.
Yeah.
You could have put that a 7-5 or even an 8-4 win. But I tell you what when I watched that fight, Raymond Ford, yeah, when he came out in that first round, Raymond Ford, he was banging the jab, he was banging the left, he was doing this. I knew that it was going to be a good fight. And when people were saying that Raymond Ford was gonna walk down, he ain't gonna walk down for nobody. Raymond Ford ain't gonna lay down for nobody. So when they were saying that, oh, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, he won't do shit, bro. So yeah,
Oh man, we got so much more fights coming up, man.
yeah,
Again, man, I thank you both for taking the time to tune in, man. We've been here for what, an hour and 13 now, man. I know it's late over in the UK, man, so you got to get some rest yourself, man.
yeah, man. I'm gonna go to other channels and just troll and do shit, bro.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man. Nick,
Yeah. I'm
always a
gonna get
pleasure,
to
man.
watching this. Right, we're right in the middle of this UFC card. I'm gonna start. I got a
Me
full
too.
night of betting for this UFC card, so I'm gonna be busy the rest of the night.
All right,
Yeah,
man.
fuck
Thanks
fuck
again,
the
man.
UFC, bro. Fuck the UFC, bro.
Have
No
a good
problem.
rest of your night, everyone. We'll talk a little bit later.
All right.
Word
Thank you
up,
very much,
bro.
Hakeem.
Always love, man. Later, later.
Word, bro.